There's 5 rounds in the books on the Pittsburgh Sports Faceoff and still going strong into the summer months. Welcome back to the Faceoff on Pittsburgh Sports Live, powered by our friends at Burgatory Bar. I'm your host and quizmaster, Matt Gajtka, and here's how the Faceoff works. A sports media pro from the Pittsburgh Sports Now family squares up against a fan challenger, and they'll both take a swing at my lineup of 11 Pittsburgh sports trivia questions. If this week's Joe beats the pro, he'll receive a $25 gift card from Pittsburgh's own Burgatory Bar with 7 locations in the region. Visit burgatorybar.com for more info on how it's handling the COVID situation. You may know Allegheny County going into green now, so things have changed for restaurants. Get the scoop at burgatorybar.com. Okay, let's meet this week's competitors. Like I said, the 6th edition of the Pittsburgh Sports Faceoff. This week's pro at the bottom of your screen right now is John Krysinsky. John is the head man at Pittsburgh Soccer Now, and he's covered the beautiful game here in town for various media outlets. He's also coached the game quite a bit, including leading his alma mater, Point Park University, back in the 90s, and a couple of other stints in prep soccer here in the region. John, welcome. Tonight you're not coaching, though. You're the competitor, so I'm looking forward to seeing those juices get flowing.
Yeah, it's just excited to be part of this. It's, hey, as soon as I found out about this forum, I said, it'd be fun to get on here. So thanks for having me.
Well, I'd say I hope you have a lot of fun, but I don't want to be biased. I want to see a good matchup between the two of you. I hope you both have fun, actually. And this week's challenger from the ranks of Pittsburgh sports fans, of which there are many, is John Tarnik. John is a native of Canonsburg, and as you can see there, a big sports memorabilia fan. He's got that old-time Florida Marlins cap on, also NBA Jam t-shirt, has a couple of soccer scarves in the background, American Outlaws, signed by Pittsburgh's own Megan Klingenberg. So, yeah, John, I think you have your bona fides lined up. We know you're a big fan.
Yeah, man, just glad to be here. I love talking sports and sports trivia, and hopefully I can have a respectable showing for us small guys.
Well, we're looking forward to it. So far, through 5 episodes, the challengers have a couple of wins. They're 2-3, including a win last week for Matt Gajtka. So you're going to try to make it 2 in a row and 3 out of the last 4. Here are the rules for those of you watching who have not watched a previous episode. We'll start with a series of 5 questions worth 1 point each, then 5 worth 2 points each, then a special final face-off question on which you can wager as much of your point total as you wish. The players will say their names to buzz in, and I know what you're thinking right now. They're both named John. We're going to go with John Tarnik's nickname, Deuce, for the purposes of the buzz-in, and John Krysinsky will just say John, and I'll be the judge as to who buzzes in first. If it's a tie, we'll break that in a fashion to be determined, but we haven't had a tie yet in a buzz-in, so hopefully let's keep it that way. Keep the controversy to a minimum. Okay, are you boys ready to go? Okay, let's start with those 1-point questions. And our leadoff question comes to us from the Faceoff ghostwriter from Youngstown, Ohio. His name is Larry Snyder, and he's got another one for you. As you might expect from a team that's been around for a half-century, the Pittsburgh Penguins have had their share of tough guys over the years. But their all-time leader in penalty minutes isn't Ulf Samuelsson, it isn't Bob Battleship Kelly, and it isn't Brooks Orpik either. Instead, it's this power forward who also ranks 7th in team history with 260 goals. Who is it?
John, or Deuce.
Deuce, John, whatever it is, go ahead.
All right, forward, right?
Yes, power forward.
Ron Stackhouse.
It is not Ron Stackhouse. John Krysinsky, a chance to steal here, and there's no penalty for a wrong answer.
Yeah, wow. I feel like I'm going to go back into the 80s here. Name escapes me.
All-time leader in Penguins penalty minutes. A couple seconds left.
Yeah. Luke Robitaille, I don't know.
No, he is definitely not a rough and tumble type. It's Kevin Stevens, guys. 10 seasons with the Penguins, and 4 of those with 40-plus goals. So, yeah, he was filling up the score sheet in a couple of different ways when he was dressed in the black and gold.
It's the first name that came to me, but I didn't think he had enough time.
Yeah, I didn't think he did either, but he did pile up the years, some better than others. He had a quick peak and then a quick decline, traded, and then he came back for the Lemieux comeback, too. Okay, so on our high-tech scoreboard here, no score on the board between the 2 Johns. On to question 2. Heading into the 1983 NFL Draft, the Steelers were a team in transition out of the Bradshaw years and into what they hope would be a nice last hurrah for Coach Chuck Noll. While future Hall of Famers John Elway and Jim Kelly weren't available when the Steelers picked 21st that year, which locally trained quarterback did they leave on the board?
Deuce.
Deuce, go ahead.
University of Pittsburgh's own Dan Marino.
Yes, I had a feeling you might get that one. It is Dan Marino. And just for my edification here, do you know who they picked instead?
Gabe Rivera out of Texas Tech.
Yeah, you know your stuff, man. No bonus points for that, but John Deuce Tarnik takes the lead.
What was his nickname? Senor Sack.
People have been talking about the Dan Marino thing for a long, long time. And, of course, Marino went on to beat the Steelers in the 84 AFC Championship game, just to add some insult there. Okay, so it's 1-0, John over John, Tarnik over Krysinsky. Let's go to baseball. Of all the hitters who could fill a score sheet in Pirates history, there's one who reigns above all the rest. Hall of Famer Willie Stargell is the franchise's career leader in home runs with 475, walks with 937, and RBIs with over 1,500. He's also the all-time top bucko in another very different counting category. Which one is that?
John.
Go ahead, John Tarnik.
Walks or strikeouts.
Strikeouts is correct. I'll allow the correction there.
Sorry, my mind went blank.
No problem. I already said walks, so it's not like
yeah,
it was off the board. He's actually 8th all-time in MLB history as Willie Stargell in strikeouts, and 3rd among Hall of Famers. Only Reggie Jackson and Jim Thome whiffed more times than Pops, but he got a lot done there at the plate regardless of all that. Okay, so it's 2-0 through 2. Krysinsky trailing Tarnik. Let's go to the world of Pitt. Under the leadership of Heather Like, the Pitt athletic program has shifted its official colors back to the old-fashioned bright gold and royal blue. Remember, they went to the so-called Vegas gold and navy blue in 1996. Which athletic director triggered that change back in 96?
Deuce.
I heard John Krysinsky first.
Steve Peterson.
Steve Peterson, yes. And Deuce, I'm figuring you knew that one too.
I hate that man so much.
2-1. 2 stints, not one, but 2 stints at Pitt for Steve Peterson with Nebraska in between. Yeah, remember they went from Pitt to Pittsburgh. They changed a whole bunch of things. And for me, the colors were the biggest blunder in that regard. Okay, on to question 5. Let's talk some coaching. The Penguins' Mike Sullivan made history in 2017, becoming the first coach to repeat as Stanley Cup champion in the NHL salary cap era. He's also the first Pens coach to accomplish the feat because the back-to-back titles in the early 90s were achieved with different coaches. Who overall in the NHL, though, was the last head coach to go back-to-back before Sullivan? John Krysinsky.
Scotty Bowman.
Scotty Bowman's correct. We're tied at 2. Detroit Red Wings, 1997-98, and I didn't mention his name in the clue because, he was one of the Penguins coaches who won in the early 90s. Bob Johnson tragically passed away due to cancer, and then Mr. Bowman took over one of his many, many Stanley Cups. Okay, so we are as tight as it can be through 5 questions, entering the 2-point round. Let's go to that with a score tied 2-2. 2016 is mostly associated with bad memories for Pirates fans, as it signaled the end of the team's 3-year run of contention. But there were some bright spots that season, specifically on the offensive side. Can you name the journeyman outfielder who posted a career-high OPS and also set an MLB record that season with 21 walks as a pinch hitter? Deuce, give it a shot.
Marlon Byrd.
No, that was a little past Marlon's time with the Pirates. John Krysinsky, you can try to get the 2-pointer here.
I can't think of his first name. I think it was Johnson. Mark Johnson.
Not Johnson. Matt Joyce. Matt Joyce was the player who did that. 866 OPS, mostly as a bench guy. But as I mentioned, 21 walks, set the record by 1 as a pinch hitter. And he has played 12 seasons in MLB. So he's gotten it done, but he's moved around quite a bit. All right, still 2-2. Going into question number 7. Assuming all goes well in his return from right elbow repair, Ben Roethlisberger will take part in his 17th season as a Steeler this fall. He started 216 NFL games, 144 of those wins, including his first 15 in a row back in his rookie season of 2004. He debuted in relief of an injured Tommy Maddox in a loss at Baltimore, but where did Big Ben earn his first start and victory the following week? John Krysinsky. Miami is right. You move ahead 4-2, a surge by our pro here. 13-3 was the final score there. They moved that game up because of the start of Hurricane Jeannie Didn't quite work out, but they made it back home safely, I guess, which was the important thing. Okay, so 4-2 Krysinsky over Tarnik. Moving on, back to college football. The Pitt and Penn State football teams have played 100 times in their shared histories, with the Nittany Lions winning 53 and the last 3 in a row. The 2016 result sure was sweet for Panthers fans, with the largest crowd in Pittsburgh sports history watching at Heinz Field for Pitt's thrilling victory. What, gentlemen, was the final score?
John, Deuce.
Deuce, go ahead.
42-38.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. Krysinsky, a chance to steal.
I'm thinking 42-37.
No, you missed it as well. 42-39 was the final.
Oh my God.
They even had that score put on rings, I think, didn't they? I want to say.
Something like that,
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Not quite 13-9.
No, it's not. A little more crowd pleasing. Oh, I hope that doesn't come back to bite you there, but well, both of you were just a hair off. All right, 2 questions to go before the final face-off. The Penguins came out of the full season lockout of 2004-05 with renewed energy from top to bottom, boosted, of course, by winning the draft lottery and taking Sidney Crosby first overall. They also signed several high-profile veteran free agents like Sergei Gonchar, Mark Recchi, Ziggy Palffy, and which former member of the so-called Legion of Doom line with the Flyers? Deuce, go ahead.
John LeClair.
Yeah, John LeClair. Maybe a little-known Penguin for some, but yes, he did play 2 seasons, parts of 2 seasons, 1 full season. Scored 22 goals, in fact. But did not hang around. The game had pretty much passed him by once things sped up following the lockout. Okay, we're tied 4-4 going into the final question here in this round. Last chance to pick up 2 points.
Ziggy Palffy.
Yeah, Ziggy retired mid-season, yeah.
Yeah, just said I'm done.
That really didn't work out. Okay, now the juncture of the game, folks, where I get to have a little bit of fun. Many teams besides the Penguins made the Civic/Mellon Arena home over the years, such as the Spirit of indoor soccer fame. John Krysinsky knows all about that. I referenced that last week in a question about their broadcaster, JP Dellacamera. But in 1994, Roller Hockey International made a brief appearance at the Igloo, too, as this team played its only season.
Deuce.
I heard John first, just barely.
Pittsburgh Phantoms.
Phantoms is correct, and that was a tight one. Deuce, did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Also the
Pittsburgh
name,
Piranhas also played there.
also the name of Phantoms is the name of an old semi-pro soccer team in Pittsburgh.
Yep. And then now, what is it? Now Phantoms are the AHL team of the Flyers, right, out in Harrisburg?
Yeah, that's their name. So the name still lives on. Also in Youngstown, the Youngstown Phantoms. My first job coming out of college was calling their games junior hockey, USHL. So yeah, no more Pittsburgh Phantoms, but there are Phantoms on either side. All right, guys, get your pads and pens out because we're arrived at the final face-off. And the category, before you make your wager, is the Freak Show. The Freak Show is the category for this week's final face-off. And again, our score is Krysinsky 6, Tarnik 4, just so you guys know. So write down your wagers, and are you ready for the question?
Yeah.
All good? Okay. Perfect. Here is the question. As is the case usually here on the Final Face-Off, it's a multi-parter. The 1997 Pirates were one of the more unlikely playoff contenders in Pittsburgh pro sports history. Despite tearing down the payroll in the offseason to a paltry $9 million total, that's total, the Bucks were in the running for the NL Central all the way down to the season's final week before falling to the Astros. One July night at Three River Stadium catalyzed the legend of the Freak Show. To get your points, gentlemen, you have to name 3 Pirates players. Name 2 Pirates pitchers who combined on that 10-inning no-hitter against the Astros at Three Rivers, and the pinch hitter who belted the winning walk-off home run. So the 2 pitchers who combined on the no-hitter against the Astros in '97, and the guy who hit the home run. And you have 20 seconds. Down to 10. As I theatrically look at my watch. 5, 4, 3, 2, and last scribble. Pencils down. Okay. John, Tarnik. You trailed going into the final round. You had 4 points. Here in this face-off, how much did you wager, first of all?
I wagered 3.
Okay, so you would get to 7 with a correct answer. You have, who was on there? Francisco Cordova.
Ricardo Rincon, and John Wayner.
It is not John Wayner, unfortunately. The answer... You know what? I'll save the answer. We'll see if John gets it. But not John Wayner, although you weren't terribly far off. It was definitely a part-time type of guy. All right, John Krysinsky. Tarnik is down to 1 point. How much did you wager in the final face-off?
1.
Just 1. Okay, yep.
And I had Cordova and Rob Makoviak, but I couldn't figure out who the second pitcher was. I was distracted.
Right, it was Ricardo Rincon, it was Francisco Cordova. Cordova pitched the first 9, Rincon the 10th, and then Mark Smith hit the game-winning 3-run homer into the left field grandstand area, winning the game. Okay, so you both come up short on it. John, you finished with a total of 5 points. John Krysinsky, that is. John Tarnik drops down to 1, but another great game here on the Pittsburgh Sports Faceoff. That close. Again, it comes down to the final faceoff. That's always the goal here to see if we can do that. So, John Krysinsky, congratulations. You've defended the honor of Pittsburgh Sports Now and Pittsburgh Soccer Now. The pros are now 4-2. What do you have to say for yourself as you survive the crucible here?
Well, I got to give Deuce credit. I mean, he came on strong at the outset. I mean, I was down 2-0, and I was like, shoot, I gotta respond quicker. This is harder than I thought it would be. So,
all right.
But yeah, no, I have to give a little credit because in my research for my book, Miracle on the Mon, Pittsburgh Phantoms came up, so I'm sure that helped give me a little bit of a push. But I do remember them, but probably wouldn't have remembered the name if I wasn't doing the research.
Okay.
For the book. So.
Well, yeah, speaking of that, you can find your book, Miracle on the Mon, about the Riverhounds and that memorable game back in 2015 on Amazon, correct?
Yep. Officially went on sale on Saturday, so the 5th anniversary of the fabled Miracle on the Mon game. So, yeah, it's available now, and there'll be an ebook version in the next week or so.
Okay. Well, great. We'll look for that. Deuce, thanks for coming on. Another great opponent here on the face-off, and you came highly recommended, so I was expecting a good fight. I feel for you because I feel like that 1 point on the Penn State total there, that could have turned things if you would have gotten it.
That and the Phantoms and the other one, I just wasn't quick enough to get my Peterson and Phantoms.
Yeah.
He was quicker than me. Can't help that.
Very, very tight, and just decided by, as the old gunner Bob Prince would say, a gnat's eyelash here on the Pittsburgh Sports Faceoff. Well, thanks, guys. I had a great time. A reminder, if you're watching at home right now, I'm going to flash my email address on the screen against my better judgment, maybe. But you can email me. That's what John Tarnik did to get involved with the face-off. We'll get you in line. We're going to record at least a few more episodes here through the end of June because, well, sports aren't going on quite yet, even though we did hear last week, at the time of this recording, actually, just earlier this day, that the Riverhounds might be back in mid-July. So we'll cross our fingers and hope for that. For John Tarnik, for John Krysinsky of Pittsburgh Soccer Now, I'm Matt Gajtka saying good game and good night. We'll talk to you next time for another edition of the Pittsburgh Sports Faceoff.